So what's up everybody, this is going to be my Black Clover 326 predictions. I think this chapter is going to possibly lead into the backstory of Lucifero. We might learn about him a little bit more. Maybe something that happens triggers Lucifero to a memory that he's been suppressing. We might learn a little bit more about the angel race, or possibly it's just going to be a further bloodbath and other people start jumping in. So let's get into my Black Clover 326 predictions. First of all, if you like anime, manga reviews, discussing spoilers and theories, definitely hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, like, comment. I had to restart my channel again. Shueisha hit me with some false copyright strikes, so if you see yourself not subscribed, it's not because I booted you out of the channel, it's just that I'm literally starting from scratch again. Patreon is almost ready, so I'll let you guys know when it's 100% live. New or old, liking the video, commenting, and subscribing is highly appreciated. Good news, I'm actually in the process to being monetized on this channel, so once I'm monetized, I can focus more on YouTube and then give you guys more videos. So Black Clover 326. Funny enough, Black Clover 325, it ended with who will win, the angel or the devil in the fan translation, and then in the official translations they just erased that. So I wonder if that's like an implication as to what will happen moving forward and the officials just don't want to tease us, or it was just a mistake. But regardless, I think this chapter is going to possibly trigger a memory with Lucifero. The reason why I say that is because the way the fight is going and how many chapters were in this volume, I think we're probably gonna have maybe 4 or 5. Let me know how many chapters are really in this volume, but I believe this volume is gonna be specifically just on Lucifero. So how are they going to drag the fight out more? I don't see anybody else coming to the battlefield unless it's like an angel or some other divine being, because at this point everybody else is worthless. To be honest, I could see Noelle coming in because she does have Spirit Dive and she could possibly help out Asta for a little bit. Maybe Gray as well to heal Asta, but I don't know, because now that Yuno looks like he's out of mana, it doesn't look like he can use more of at least his wind magic. He might be able to still do his star magic, because maybe he might be on that Naruto type of thing where he has 2 sources of mana, you know, the elf spirit and then his, so maybe he might still have some mana for star magic but not for wind magic. So I don't know if Seke and Mimosa are going to be okay, because if Yuno runs out of mana in general, then that means that he can't do the star magic that was protecting Mimosa and Seke. They're going to be flat on the ground by the gravity magic from Lucifero. So that leaves less likely to have people jumping in, unless it's probably the captains getting back up after they got knocked out. But what else can they do? There has to be something that kind of drags on the fight, and maybe Asta learns a new spell, like I said in other videos, and then somehow he can do the anti-magic spells. I did read some of you guys' comments, and there was a really cool comment about how Asta has been taking the lead most of the Devil Union. What happens if Libe takes the lead in the Devil Union in a certain sense? I'm not entirely sure how Devil Union works. I think it's just the devil and them syncing with each other, and then they just use the human's host body as a conduit to manifest like physically somewhat in the real world, but it's just really altering the human. So I don't know if the devil can actually take control of the body once in Devil Union, but what happens if that's possible? That'll be very interesting if Libe takes the body of Asta, and then from there Libe can start reading Asta's grimoire, and let's just say he does know the devil language, because at this point we probably don't know. Libe has spent the majority of his life outside of the underworld, so we're not entirely sure if he remembers the devil language, if he learned it at all, because he was really young when he left. So if there's a possibility that Libe can read Asta's grimoire, I could definitely see it enchanting Asta's swords. Maybe there's a sword that is in the grimoire that Asta doesn't know about because he can't read the grimoire, so it could be like another sword coming out that could help him fight Lucifero. I mean, at this point I don't know, it'd be kind of like an ass pull if Tabata takes that route, because I don't see any like foreshadowing on that. If there is, that'd be interesting, and let me know if there's any foreshadowing in the comments. So I won't be too sold on that idea, but once again, anything's possible. This is Tabata's story. I just hope it makes sense if he does that. Noelle coming to the fight is another possibility, but I know she's very out of mana at this point. Loda Pacheca and Gaja, I don't even want to mention them, but they're basically in the background, and yes, there's a possibility of them coming into the battlefield, but I don't see it. But if Noelle comes there and Loda Pacheca's there, I could see Loda Pacheca helping out Noelle with her water magic, and Noelle and Valkyrie same stage, and then them doing some type of combination combination spell that could stun Lucifero for just a tiny second to have Asta slice him, that is a possibility. It's unlikely, but I'm just throwing it out there. However, something could trigger Lucifero getting a backstory. I definitely see we're going to get something with him in this fight, because the biggest problem with Black Clover is basically the villains. We don't really feel like the villains are that great, even though Patri's backstory was very decent, but he wasn't the true villain. It was Zagreth. It was a good plot twist, but it was just kind of whoa, but it led the story in the right way. However, this looks like it's the official villain of this arc, and so far Tabata has made Lucifero a villain that we all been wanting. He took out the main cast. He took out all the Clover captains and Mariona, besides the Purple Roca, because everybody knows he's trash, but there's so many things that Lucifero just did. He did it all single-handedly. He's a villain on another level. We never seen the cast struggle this hard. So what would make Lucifero perfect as a villain is to really understand him of who he is. It would be awesome to see like a flashback, maybe not this whole chapter of flashback, but maybe a little bit of a snippet of a flashback that Tabata might be hinting towards something. It would be amazing if somehow Lucifero is tied to the eldest Sagrati sibling somehow. I'm not saying that they're the same people, that's just crazy, but it would be really interesting if they were tied somehow, even though I think the fourth Sagrati sibling is probably connected to Beelzebub, but something tells me that this chapter is going to have snippets as to learning more who Lucifero is as a character. Because so far, man, he's just been brawling, bashing people, basically knocking every person that comes in front of him, and we needed that. But the only thing that's missing for him to be a complete villain and can compare it to a villain like in other mangas is him having a backstory and having another layer of depth as a character. Of course, I'm fine so far as to how Lucifero is being used. I was a little disappointed when Lucifero came out because I was a little worried how Tabata will handle him, and so far it's been good. But I hope he continues to handle Lucifero well. I have faith in Tabata, and a dive into his history and his past, and somehow him being connected to St. Michael and us being confirmed angels will be like the cherry on the cake. It would be so out of this world good. I don't see this chapter having any way where Asta dies, just not yet. I mean, there's a possibility that Asta does die, but me personally, I don't see it happening. But if Asta dies, then I could see a time skip. And something similar to Maggie, spoiler warning for those who just started reading Maggie, Alibaba did get killed. He got sent to the Afterworld. He became stronger when he came back, but it could be something similar like that with Asta, where he gets sent to like Valhalla, and then he learns about angelic attribute, have angelic powers. He can come back to the earth and fight Lucifero after a time skip, where the characters preserved Asta's body through magic. You know, this is something that could happen. Also, talking about Asta definitely got his leg messed up, so I don't know how he's gonna stand up. Maybe Gray comes out of nowhere and heals him, but it's gonna be an interesting chapter. So that's basically my predictions for Black Clover 326. Let me know what you think is gonna happen this chapter. Do you think that there's going to be something that leads to Lucifero having a flashback, or do you think it's just not gonna happen? How do you feel if Asta were to die this chapter? Do you think that there's gonna be a divine being that intervenes this fight? Do you think it's possible that maybe Libe can take control of the Devil Union, and then Libe somehow can read Asta's grimoire? Like if you liked the video, comment, subscribe, and I'm out of here.